Let's write all of these decimals as fractions, beginning with 0.8. A general strategy here is to say that your decimal, in this case 0.8, is the same as 0.8 over 1, because putting something over 1 never changes it. Then we just multiply this fraction by 10 over 10. That way, we'll move the decimal point in 0.8 over to the right one spot, and thus we won't have to worry about it anymore because all of our non-zero digits will be to the left of the decimal point. So in this case, we have 0.8 times 10 in the numerator, which becomes 8, and we have 1 times 10 in the denominator, which is 10. And there we have our fraction, 8 over 10, which we could simplify if we divide the numerator and denominator by 2, and then it becomes 4 over 5 as our final answer. And by the way, even though we often say the decimal point is moving to the right when we multiply by 10, it's really the digit of 8 that's moving to the left, because the 8/10ths are becoming 10 times bigger, thus becoming 8 wholes. But it looks like the decimal point is moving, so that's often how we describe it. But if you caught what I said there, I mentioned this is 8/10ths. I mean, if you know the decimal system, you should be able to know this is 8/10ths just by looking at it. This is one place value to the right of the decimal point. That means it's 8/10ths. So you could just jump straight there from the beginning and then reduce the fraction to 4/5. Let's move on to problem 2, 2.5. Again, we can solve it much the same way. Write 2.5 over 1. Then, how many places to the right do we need to move the decimal point? Well, just 1. So, again, we'll multiply by 10 over 10. Then the numerator will become 2.5 times 10, which is 25. The denominator is 1 times 10, which is just 10. And there is 2.5 rewritten as a fraction, but we can simplify it if we divide the numerator and denominator by 5. Thus, we have 5 over 2 as our fraction. If you don't like improper fractions, well, 2 goes into 5 twice, with 1/2 left over, so there it is as a mixed number. All right, 2 more examples. 0.324. Once again, we can just take our decimal, 0.324, and put it over 1. In this case, we need to move the decimal point to the right 3 spots. So we'll multiply by 1,000 over 1,000. That will have the effect of moving the decimal point to the right 3 spots. Now in the numerator, we have 0.324 times 1,000, which is 324. In the denominator, we have 1 times 1,000, which is 1,000. And now we can reduce this fraction. If we divide the numerator by 4 and the denominator by 4, we're going to end up with 81 over 250. And this is fully simplified. The factors of 81 are 3, 9, 27. None of that stuff goes into 250, so this is fully reduced. By the way, I knew that 4 was a factor of the numerator and denominator because I know 4 is a factor of any multiple of 100, which means it's a factor of 1,000, and it's a factor of 300, and I also know 4 is a factor of 24, so that's how I knew it would work out. Finally, negative 5.895. Again, we'll write negative 5.895 over 1. In this case, once again, we want to move the decimal point 3 places to the right. So we'll multiply our fraction by 1,000 over 1,000. In the numerator, that's going to give us negative 5,895 divided by 1,000. Both the numerator and denominator here have a factor of 5, so let's divide them both by 5 to simplify. That leaves us with negative 1,179 over 200, and this fraction is fully simplified. If you wanted to write this as a mixed number, well, you need to make sure it's negative, and 200 goes into 1,179 5 times with 179 over 200 left over. And that's it. To convert a decimal to a fraction, just write the decimal over 1, and then multiply the numerator and denominator by the appropriate power of 10 in order to move the decimal point to the right of your non-zero digits. Again, it looks like the decimal's moving to the right, but really what this is doing is moving the digits to the left because it's making them all 10 times as big. And once you've done that, just make sure to simplify your fraction and write it as a mixed number if that's your thing. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and check out my pre-algebra course and pre-algebra exercises playlists in the description for more. Thanks for watching.
Persistence, couldn't even open myself up for an instant. What's the law? It's regular. I regulate my integrity. I'm a secular anesthetic for my own effigy. I didn't try just to be regular.